More EU politicians are talking about the need to revise the approach to the Green Deal. Is it possible that the European Union, and above all Poland, will withdraw from the Paris agreements and withdraw from the Green Deal? Today I took a closer look at the situation. So that Poland becomes, because we are moving in the right direction, a leader of modern technologies and a certain model of behavior throughout Europe. For this you need special sources of energy, and anyway we have expensive energy in Poland. Expensive energy, one of the most expensive in Europe, which is actually the result of the Green Deal. And just a few days ago, Donald Tusk said he was just as concerned about the policies of the new United States president as he was about the war in Ukraine. What big and sometimes dangerous challenges we face, whether it's the war in Ukraine caused by Russian aggression, or whether it's political changes in our allies, including this revolutionary political shift in Washington. Why is it so dangerous? Donald Trump has put the European Union in an uncomfortable position. He has forced a re-examination of documents from the Paris agreements. I can guess why Donald Tusk is talking this way, because we still have the presidential elections and he has to do absolutely everything to dress up in such clothes as to make something happen here on the subject of mass migration, on the subject of decarbonization, on the subject of the Green Deal, that he is suddenly presenting himself here at this moment as the one who is trying to stop it. But after all, we remember that he was the head of the European Council, and together with Ursula von der Leyen, he belongs to the European People's Party, who were the main initiators and coordinators of the Green Deal in the Union. Donald Trump has withdrawn the United States from the Green Deal, and he forced the European People's Party to revise its Green Deal communications.
We have a $350 billion deficit with the European Union. They treat us very, very badly, so they're going to be in for tariffs. It's the only way you're going to get back. It's the only way you're going to get fairness. You can't get fairness unless you do that.
The President of the European Commission is expected to present another roadmap for the next 5 years of action in energy. The European Union only needed the shock of Donald Trump's return to the White House to take hold.
In this spirit, we will need to work together to avoid a global race to the bottom, because it is in no one's interest to break the bonds of the global economy. Rather, we need to modernize the rules to sustain our ability to produce mutual gain for our citizens.
The draft of the European Union's new economic doctrine, the so-called Competitiveness Compass, is expected to involve wide-ranging deregulation, to include in particular Green Deal regulations. The document is to set the European Commission's direction for the next 5 years. And such a big ally that says clearly and firmly what it wants and knows how to realistically reach for it. I think that makes them aware of the fact they will have to step down. The text of the draft states that the Commission will carry out an unprecedented effort to simplify regulations. Until the European credit transfer and accumulation system is changed, until such high taxation is removed from energy production in the European Union, then absolutely nothing will change. There is a need for the political will of the largest group in the European Parliament, that is the European People's Party, the head of which was Donald Trump, and from which von der Leyen also comes. As for the Green Deal itself, well, actually, one can only applaud it because maybe at last someone will start thinking freshly and not thinking doctrines which they then have to put into practice. There is no worse situation when someone comes up with a doctrine. We have gone in a very strange direction that smart countries have decided to take advantage of. The Green Deal policy has brought protesters and farmers and miners to the street. The effects of the Green Deal are affecting all Poles, who are paying significantly more for energy. What will happen next?
More shipments to Colombia, Ecuador, Brazil, and Mexico. Not a day goes by without planes full of illegal immigrants departing from U.S. airports. Each person has a different story and has been through hardships. They have one thing in common. They got into the United States illegally and committed a crime on its territory. They also include migrants who just crossed the border. I left on January 6th of this year and crossed the border last Saturday at dawn. I didn't cross because they caught me. This is the first attempt I made this year. There are others who have tried dozens of times, but after being caught, they were sent back to the other side of the fence at the border. Today, instead of behind the fence, they are taken to their countries of origin.
We're tracking down the illegal alien criminals. We're detaining them, and we are throwing them the hell out of our country. We have no apologies, and we're moving forward very fast. They're very dangerous people.
The state of emergency is visible to the naked eye at the border with Mexico. According to a declaration by the just sworn-in Secretary of Defense, the U.S. military will do everything to support fellow border guards.
Whatever is needed at the border will be provided, whether that is through state active duty, Title 32 or Title 10, because we are reorienting. This is a shift. This is not the way business has been done in the past. This is the Defense Department will support the defense of the territorial integrity of the United States.
Mexico has so far been very sparing and rational about the actions of the new U.S. administration. There is a lot of decisiveness, but with full respect and understanding for its northern neighbor. It's been a week since President Trump took office, and we are in constant dialogue, as they are with Central American countries. So it's not that we already have a fully defined coordination, but that we have a dialogue that is fundamental and very important. It seems that Mexicans are well aware of the options available to Washington in the event of opposition to U.S. policies. This was painfully demonstrated by Colombia's president, who, upon hearing that planes carrying deportees from the United States were flying into his country, refused to accept them. In response, Trump threatened to impose massive tariffs and sanctions, forcing Bogotá to back down. Actually, no one expected Colombia to be such a big protagonist in the early days of Donald Trump's administration on the issue of possible sanctions. Somehow it looks as if Colombia raised its hand to say, "Please choose me." So they chose us, and we realized that we have a lot to lose. Analysts and experts are watching this showdown with great interest. Donald Trump, without playing the diplomacy game, is unequivocally using the carrot and stick method on unruly partners. And paradoxically, so far, it's working.
This is quintessential Donald Trump. I think, again, the U.S. has very serious concerns about fentanyl, and he views the tariff as a tool to gain leverage over foreign countries to get them to do more to address fentanyl or the border crisis.
The problem is that this method will not work on everyone. Certainly, there will be players who will try similar tactics. Importantly, playing with economics can also affect the U.S. negatively, because in tariff wars, no one wins, only someone loses less.
Flooding in western France, and the worst situation is around the city of Rennes. Homes and streets have been flooded after Storm Hermine brought torrential rain to the Brittany region. According to meteorologists, the worst is yet to come. Thousands of Brittany residents have had to leave their homes due to rapidly rising water levels. The Department of Brittany, particularly its capital Rennes, is facing floods unprecedented in 40 years. It is disastrous. I think there has been negligence on the part of officials. In my opinion, the authorities have misjudged the recent rainfall. On Saturday, they said it was going to rain, but we were told that the peak would be on Wednesday and that people would still have time to prepare. Entire villages and towns are underwater. Residents are trying everything to protect their homes from flooding and save what they can. The local services are helping the most vulnerable evacuate. We don't go far from home because we're afraid the water will arrive when we are gone. Then we won't have any more electricity. Storm Hermine is passing through Brittany and the Atlantic coast, causing communication chaos. The French Meteorological Agency has issued a red alert in the Île-et-Vilaine department in Brittany due to the risk of severe flooding. We must prepare for any incident. We have never experienced anything like this. But now we can see that the river level would rise more than we thought. We have to hurry. This year's floods in northwest France, the worst in decades. This view is horrifying. I went for a walk to see the destruction. Absolutely. I have never seen anything like this. According to forecasts, the coming hours will bring more rainfall. Meteorological services say that locally up to 30 litres of water per square metre may fall. The downpours will also be accompanied by strong winds, more than 90 kilometres per hour.
A married couple of dog lovers from South Africa have created a true paradise for pugs. They drive around the country and take in animals whose owners have failed to bear the responsibility or meet the challenge of caring for a dog. Cheryl never expected her retirement to look like this. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. She works as a pug rescue.
So currently we have 208 pugs in our care. They're not all at the rescue centre. So we do have some foster homes in Johannesburg, and then we also have foster homes in Cape Town. So there are more and more pugs needing assistance in these past few years because we have a major exit of people that are immigrating to various countries. At one stage there was a ban on flying any flat-faced dogs. And right now it is very, very expensive to get your animals overseas. And a lot of the overseas countries also don't allow animals when you rent a property.
Veterinary treatment in South Africa is very expensive, so sick dogs requiring any kind of treatment are mostly put to sleep. Cheryl could not accept this.
So sometimes they do come in here in very, very bad conditions. So we're very fortunate that we actually have our own veterinary clinic on the property that's registered with the Veterinary Council. So that saves us a lot of money, albeit that our vet expenses are still close to 700,000 Rand in a year.
Director and senior caretaker has worked at the shelter for 11 years and knows the names of all 200 pugs.
I think the biggest problem with people, they don't realize how pugs need veterinary care. They're quite expensive to look after pugs. But people, they don't realize that they see cuteness on the pugs and then they just rush to get a pug and then they can't manage to look after the pugs because they really have high vet bills, if I can say it, because they've got problems of eyes, they've got problems of bags, they've got problems of ear infection, so it's quite really difficult. They are nice animals, but they are expensive to look after.
Since opening in 2008, the Pugs Rescue Center in South Africa has taken in more than 2,500 dogs. Over the past few years, the number of animals in need of help has increased significantly.